We send our children to school, what is the hope? The hope is that they become better and bigger than their circumstances. That the education that their teachers impart not just helps them crack exams, but also helps them become good citizens. Citizens who are honest, inclusive, and aware. But what happens when teachers start imparting lessons in hate? Who do we blame? The teacher or the venomous socio-political narrative that is fed to us day in and day out? Today, the Supreme Court of India berated the UP government for something shocking and hateful that happened under its watch. A teacher in Muzaffarnagar asking Hindu boys to slap a Muslim boy for not doing his homework. The boys are just 7 years old. The commentary that you can hear in the viral video is communal. The Supreme Court said that such incidents should shake the Yogi government's conscience. It also noted that prima facie, this was a case of failure on the part of the UP government to comply with the provisions of the Right to Education Act, which prohibits physical and mental harassment of students and discrimination on the basis of religion and caste. Batting for fundamental rights. The apex court said that the state now must file a charge sheet against the teacher at the earliest. The UP government today defended itself in court, saying it is not shielding anyone and appropriate action has been taken. The Supreme Court has now ordered that the senior IPS officer be appointed to monitor the investigation and submit a report to the court within 3 weeks. We have Subhash Kejha, who's an advocate. He is joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Kislay Pandey is a solicitor at the Supreme Court of India. Dr. Pandey, help me understand this. We understand what the Supreme Court is saying. The Supreme Court is calling this a failure of the UP government. But the Supreme Court is also not very happy with the way the UP government and the UP police has proceeded on the matter post this video went viral. For example, one of the sections that the Supreme Court today spoke of, and a lot of other people are speaking about, is the section on promoting enmity between two communities. Now, the BJP's, and its supporters were very quick to invoke this article of the Constitution and the IPC when the entire Sanatan Dharma matter happened. Promoting enmity between communities was the charge that was put against Stalin Jr. Why is this charge not being put against a teacher who is asking 7-year-old Hindu boys to slap a 7-year-old Muslim boy for not doing his homework? And not just that, also imparting some communal hate along the way.
Fair enough. At the outset, I must congratulate you and your television for raising such a sensitive issue and giving a vibrant voice to it. Secondly, my suggestion would be that this very act of this particular teacher amounts to worst and most heinous type of criminality, giving rise to tearing of the very fabric of our society. The teacher should not be given any kind of benefits of existing laws, and this case should be taken and must be dealt with toughest hands of law. And we all should pray the Honorable Supreme Court to also, senior IPS officer has been appointed. I'm very much with consonance with the Honorable Supreme Court's mindset. But you and me and we all should pay the Honorable Supreme Court that a retired justice must be given chance to monitor this investigation. Because what is happening, forget about slapping this section against the teacher. Here, the police has attempted to water out the impact of the contents of FIR. It is another worst kind of criminality on the part of the police and the concerned administration.
Why are you saying, no, why are you saying, please help our viewers understand, Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey, please help our viewers understand why you are saying that the contents of the FIR have been watered down. On what basis are you saying that? The court has said it as well, but I want to hear it from you and I want you to explain that to our viewers. I'm not saying
Honorable Supreme Court had perused. I understand. My suggestion is that Honorable Supreme Court has given this observation that the administration concerned has tried to water down the impact of the FIR. It is the observation by Honorable Supreme Court. I am not saying so. It is the Honorable Apex Court who says so. And if it is this so, then we must not demand anything lesser
Okay.
than the
Okay.
monitor by any sitting judge or retired judge of Honorable Supreme Court. I also pray that it would be
For
great
the
if
moment, there's a
any
senior
court
IPS
monitor probe is
officer. For the
ordered.
moment,
That
there's a
would be
senior IPS officer who will need to monitor this probe. Subhash Jha, just come in here. You're an advocate as well. Is it an embarrassment what the Supreme Court has told the UP government essentially that you failed? And this should shock the conscience of the state. And the fact that the FIR file has been watered down.
Shreya, let me answer your questions this way. I look at from a different perspective. Please see, what the teacher has done is certainly cannot be countenanced. Her action of gone are the days when the students used to be beaten up by their teachers. No more. It is no more. The teachers cannot touch the students. That is a different story. But here the teacher makes other students to beat up a young boy of 7 years old. Of which community he is a different issue altogether. But my question is slightly different.
It's not.
Now, this is in
It's
my
not of a
assessment.
different issue.
I'm coming to that. This is absolutely a solitary incident and has been blown out of its proportion. And so much so, this matter should not have landed up in the Supreme Court in the first place, as and by way of petition under Article 32. We know, at least I know for more than 25 years now that I have been practicing also in the Supreme Court, apart from the fact that I have been nearly close to 4 decades, I have been practicing law in different courts. And I've seen the functioning of the court. How does a matter doesn't take more than 2 minutes to dispose of in the Supreme Court. And matters like this, Article 32 petition, circumventing the High Court of the state, why the petition has been entertained at the very first place is my question, which has to be posed, or which the Solicitor General will definitely, or the additional Solicitor General representing the state government or the central government will certainly answer to that. The first and the foremost question, whenever a petition is filed under Article 32, is asked to the petitioner as to how can you circumvent the concerned High Court. Here, no such question was asked. And the second question, and the most important question which is posed, as to who are you? What is your locus standi? In this case, Tushar Gandhi files a petition and it is entertained as a petition under 32. Is our High Court, is our Supreme Court not going to see that this man has been filing similar such petitions over a period of time and claiming to be the great grandson of Mahatma Gandhi? Now, how can such petition be entertained is my question. And the Supreme Court has to address seriously on this issue, that what are the categories of cases in which they should directly interfere or directly entertain a petition under Article 32, and which are those cases in which it should not. Certainly, this could be said to be a serious matter, but this is, according to me, a solitary incident and has to be, this is a law and order situation, has to be handled by the respective state. There was nothing for the Supreme Court to have.
This is actually not a political... No, this is not a political issue. That it is not a law and order issue, Mr. Subhash Jha. This is a social issue. And the Supreme Court is made up of very wise men and women who decide in their wisdom which cases are important to hear and which cases are not important to hear. You are saying this is not a communal issue, that the religion of the boys do not make a difference. Now, the religion of the boys would not have made a difference had the teacher not made the sort of commentary that she made. The commentary is there. The Supreme Court has a transcript of that commentary, and the commentary is communal. Pure hate and communal. So, this is a Hindu-Muslim mamla. This is a communal mamla. And how is this? Forget who takes the matter to court. Whether it's Tushar Gandhi, who is the great-grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, or anyone else, whether it's you or me. How does it make a difference as long as the issue is credible? And this issue is not credible, where young children as young as 2 years old or 7 years old are being taught hate in their schools?
Shreya, but the question is not that. The question I've said at the very end, this cannot be countenanced, but nevertheless, my issue is why the Supreme Court should entertain this as a petition under Article 32 by a person who cannot be said to be a person aggrieved.
Why not?
Because
hate is tearing away at the very social fabric of our country.
So that way, it was
Hate is
also
tearing away at the very
destroyed.
social fabric of our country. If
I'm
there is
asking
an incident that shocks the conscience of this country,
There are so
why
many-
will the Supreme Court not take it up?
there are so many incidents like this. For example, I'll give you, I appeared in the Supreme Court in a matter very recently. And that was the issue relating to what happened, violence in West Bengal. How hundreds and lakhs of people were thrown out of their houses. Their houses were burned, destroyed, made to disappear from the state of West Bengal. And then demography, after changing the demography, elections were held. Was it not an important issue? Should it not be entertained? That is more heinous, that is more important, rather than this case, a solitary case here, where a teacher makes the students to beat up. I've said at the very outset,
Subhashji,
this cannot be countenanced, but nevertheless, this was
Subhashji,
certainly
you
not.
are essentially accusing the
It's happening
Supreme
entertained
Court
by the
of
Supreme
taking
Court.
political calls.
And mind well, if the Supreme Court does not
Subhashji,
start,
you are accusing the Supreme Court of picking cases that suited politically. You are accusing them of being political.
I'm not
and that's very
saying
dangerous
political.
territory. I don't think you should get into it.
I'm
It could be contempt of court, you know.
No. I see. I tell you, I'm ready to face contempt of court, but I can call a spade a spade. I have never said this is a political issue or the Supreme Court is politically motivated. See, we ultimately Justice Oak, before whom I have been appearing in Bombay High Court as a senior judge, and now even in the Supreme Court, I have pleasant memories with Justice Oak. I have nothing to say. I've never said political. But nevertheless, the Supreme Court must draw a line. It must not selectively entertain a petition and selectively throw out the petitions. Because otherwise, we are creating havoc. Please try to understand, if Supreme Court is flooded with petitions like this.
No, havoc is,
how the
in my
Supreme Court-
mind, being created if schools in Uttar Pradesh are teaching religious abuse to their children.
No. This is, Shreya, let
But
us not,
Subhasha,
I think...
you have your point of view. I think you have made it.
I think
And no, I don't think anyone blew the issue out of proportion. I don't think anyone blew the issue out of proportion.
I again call it a
It
solitary
is
incident,
extremely
and it
dangerous
should be-
if
it
you
should
have teachers teaching abuse, communal abuse to children as young as 7 years old. I think it's very dangerous. It needed
only
to be
the
called
state
out.
of
We'll
Uttar
leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Mr. Jha. You have your point of view. It happened in the state of Uttar Pradesh, na? So that is where it will be called out. If it happens in Bengal, that is where it will be called out.
You mean to say
Anyhow,
that it is
we'll
not
leave it there for the
happening-
moment. You
must
have
not
your
be
point of
happening
view.
other
I have
places
mine.
also?
In a democracy, all of us are allowed to have our points of view. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Mr. Jha. Out of time. Dr. Pandey, thank you very much as well. I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. There's lots more coming up on the other side. Do stay with us.